The beginning of Bayezid's rule starts with the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, where an invading Ottoman army, led by Sultan Murad I, together with his two sons Yaqub and Bayezid, clashed with an Serbian coalition of both Bosnian, Serbian, and other various Christian soldiers, led by the Serbian prince Lazar Hrebeljanović. In the end, the Serbs were defeated, but when the Ottoman Sultan Murad observed the battlefield after the fighting was done, a Serbian knight named Miloš Obilić struck him with his blade and killed him, after which he was slain by the Sultan's bodyguards. Although sources differ in the exact events of the Sultan's death, the death of Murad was swiftly avenged on the battlefield with the execution of the noble prisoners. Almost the entire Serbian aristocracy that had remained loyal to Lazar and the national cause was wiped out. Amidst this carnage, Bayezid dispatched servants to find his brother Yaqub, who had distinguished himself in battle and was celebrated by his troops. Yaqub was brought to Bayezid's tent, where he was strangled with a bowstring. The new emir rationalized this act by citing a verse from the Quran, conveniently interpreted by his theologians. Whenever they return to rebellion, they shall be punished. And if they do not depart from you, and offer you peace while refraining from war, kill them wherever you find them. They argued that the risk of treachery and insurrection was ever present among a ruler's brothers, claiming that murder was preferable to rebellion. These legal scholars might have better advised Bayezid with the Prophet's warning, but his soul allowed him to slay his brother, and he did so, becoming one of the lost. The heinous practice of eliminating potential rivals through assassination, which began on the field of Kosovo, was later legitimized by Muhammad II and has remained a stain on the Ottoman lineage to this day. Nevertheless, Bayezid was merely emulating the actions of contemporary Christian rulers. Pedro of Castile murdered his brother Don Fadrique. Andronicus III, Komnenos of Trebizond, killed his brothers Michael and George, and Andronicus III Palaiologos assassinated his brother during their father's final moments. An order was dispatched from the battlefield of Kosovo to the Qadi of Brusa, instructing him to keep the death of Murad confidential and to focus solely on public celebrations for the victory over the Serbs. Along with this directive, Bayezid sent the remains of his father and brother for discreet burial in Brusa. Following the battle, envoys from the Italian cities approached Bayezid to offer their congratulations and to request the reaffirmation of the commercial privileges that Murad had granted. Bayezid, however, presented himself as proud and aloof. He proclaimed that once he had conquered Hungary, he would journey so far as to reach Rome, where he would feed his horse oats at the altar of St. Peter's. This boastful statement highlights a notable shift in attitude towards Europe. Unlike Murad, who, despite facing planned crusades, had been careful to avoid provoking the Western Christian princes, Bayezid showed no such restraint. He was openly hostile towards Christendom and eager to establish himself as a defender of Islam. He sought alliances with the Sultan of Egypt and other Muslim leaders, emphasizing the importance of expanding Ottoman influence in Asia Minor. Once Bayezid had quenched his thirst for vengeance following his father's death and the Battle of Kosovo, he was keen to establish amicable ties with Stephen Bulković, the son and successor of Lazar. Bayezid believed the Serbians had absorbed the lessons of their recent conflicts and would prove to be more valuable allies than resentful adversaries. He recognized that their support would be crucial for his planned campaign in Anatolia and vital for safeguarding his European territories against potential Hungarian advances down the Danube during his absence in Asia. Consequently, he treated Stephen and the remaining Serbian leaders with exceptional generosity. Stephen was granted all the rights and privileges that had once belonged to his father. In return, the Serbians were promised a fair share of the spoils from future campaigns. Stephen, in turn, consented to pay Bayezid an annual tribute, backed by the income from the silver mines, to provide a personal contingent for the Ottoman forces and to marry his sister to the Ottoman emir. The events at Kosovo were ultimately forgiven by both parties. Bayezid formally married Despina, the daughter of Lazar, in a ceremony held at the Mosque of Alaja Hisar, located near Kruševac, at the base of Mount Jastrebac, about 20 miles northwest of Niš. This union marked the final marriage of any sovereign from the Osman dynasty. It established a beneficial alliance for Bayezid, who remained devoted to Despina throughout his life. His brother-in-law, Stephen, was a loyal and steadfast ally. The Serbians stood by the Osmanlis, joining forces with them in battles at Nicopolis and Angora. In return, Bayezid maintained their loyalty by providing opportunities for plunder during raids against the Albanians, Dalmatians, and Hungarians, while also supporting the Orthodox Church. Observing how willingly the Serbians accepted Ottoman rule, aside from the poets, suggests that the tragedy of Kosovo was perceived as a significant disaster only by later generations, who found the Ottoman governance more burdensome than their forebears did. Bayezid established a robust Ottoman presence in Uskub and encouraged the settlement of Muslims in the region between Uskub and Niš. It's likely that many recognize the benefits of conversion. Regardless, Bayezid faced no significant issues with the Serbians during his reign. Stephen Tvrtko, the king of Bosnia, did not view the Battle of Kosovo as a defeat. With his formidable adversaries, Murad and Lazar, both meeting their end on the battlefield, and the Ottomans failing to capitalize on their victory, it was understandable that he held this perspective. Following Kosovo, Tvrtko's influence and reputation grew significantly. He proclaimed himself the king of Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, and Dalmatia. Much like Stephen Dušan, he had grand ambitions for the future when he passed away in March 1391, after a reign lasting 38 years. In the period leading up to his death, Tvrtko successfully thwarted an Ottoman invasion, aided by a Hungarian army dispatched by Sigismund. However, his successor, Stephen Dobića, strayed from this prudent strategy. He fell into conflict with the Hungarians and undermined Sigismund's efforts to halt the Ottoman advance, ultimately playing into Bayezid's hands. The consequences of this misjudgment were dire for the Bosnians. In 1398, a massive force of Ottomans and Serbians invaded, wreaking havoc across the land and enslaving many of its people. Despite the chronicler's sweeping claims, this invasion appears to have been more of a raid. From 1398 to 1415, the Bosnians remained independent, engaging in conflicts with Ragusa and Hungary. In 1415, they chose to ally with the Ottomans, repeating the fate of other Balkan nations. Mohammed I was summoned to assist them against the Hungarians, and the Ottomans came and stayed. If you enjoyed the video, please help the channel by leaving a like and subscribing. Your help means a lot.